So, how much money do supply drops in Call of Duty make? The answer is way too fucking much. Video over, I'm done, that's a wrap. Time to jerk off. Well then. But seriously, Activision is pretty cryptic about how much money supply drops actually make. If you try to look online as to how much money supply drops make, you're not gonna find anything. How much money do supply drops make? I forgot to type money. As you can see, there's pretty much nothing. You're not gonna find a website that tells you how much money supply drops make because Activision has not reported a specific number. So if they're not willing to tell the public how much money it makes, they can't be making that much, right? Well, not quite. This article says that Call of Duty Advanced Warfare generated more revenue than any other media launch in 2014. What the fuck? This was the same year that they reported that they made more than $10 billion as a whole. But yeah, Advanced Warfare had actually outsold every single game that year. They also claimed that it generated more revenue than any other piece of media in that year, which is absolutely fucking crazy. And in terms of sales and season pass sales, Advanced Warfare obliterated Ghosts. They also said it was the highest selling digital launch for any console game ever. But this still doesn't tell us how much money supply drops make. So that's why I'm making this video. I want to know how much money that the supply drops make, and I'm sure you guys want to know too. So how do we go about figuring this out? Well, I'm pretty much just gonna sit here and do the math for you, but it's gonna make it a lot easier. And hopefully I can figure out some pretty specific numbers. The first thing we need to do to figure this out is figure out how many copies of Advanced Warfare sold and how many copies of Black Ops 3 sold. For this, I'm gonna use the website VG Charts. I always check this site to see how sales are doing for games. When you type in Advanced Warfare on the site, you can see that across all 5 platforms, being the PS4, Xbox One, PS3, Xbox 360, and PC, the game has sold around 21.6 million copies. If every single copy sold was sold at $60 per game, that means that they made roughly $1.3 billion on just the sales. That's unbelievable. No, seriously, that can't be right. And that's because a lot of people probably bought the game when it was on sale. But still, it probably estimated around $1 billion in gross revenue. So this is where things are gonna get very interesting. If every single person who bought a copy of Advanced Warfare bought at least one advanced supply drop for $2, then they would have made roughly $43 million. Now, if only half of the community actually bought supply drops, then it would have made roughly $21 million. But these numbers that we're looking at right now are pretty much the worst case scenario for their whole supply drop system. Now let's look at the best case scenario. Now I actually forgot this, but apparently the most expensive advanced supply drop bundle that you can buy is the 40 pack, which goes for like $80. So if every single player at least bought a 40 pack for $80, then holy fuck. Then that would mean that they roughly made $1.7 billion off of advanced supply drops. Jesus. The reason I find this number very interesting is because this is very close to the actual cost of the game, except it's slightly more. The game typically goes for $60, but this goes for $80. Now, even if only half of the community actually bought the 40 pack, which is the $80 supply drop bundle, they still would have made almost a whole $1 billion off of advanced supply drops. Now, I just want you guys to keep in mind that these are very rough estimates. I know a lot of people don't spend any money on any of this at all, and then there are some people who actually go to the extreme and spend a ton of money. It's still gonna be pretty hard to figure out exactly how much money these made because there's a very wide spectrum of how much money it could actually make. At the lower end of the spectrum, they could have only made about $43 million off of the system, but at the high end of the spectrum, they could have made billions of dollars. If the entire community spends $200 a piece on advanced supply drops, they're gonna make over $4 billion. Now keep in mind, this is just Advanced Warfare. We haven't even looked at Black Ops 3 yet. So if we go back to VG Charts and look at Black Ops 3, you'll see that they sold roughly 23 million units. But we cannot count the Black Ops 3 units that were sold for the Xbox 360 or the PS3 because they cannot buy supply drops. There's no COD points to buy because there's no black market system on those consoles. So that will subtract about 3.2 million units. Either way, we're still working with about 20 million copies of the game sold. Now let's check the worst case scenario. 200 COD points will go for $2. Pretty much the same price points as Advanced Warfare. So if every single person who bought a copy of Black Ops 3 bought at least $2 worth of Call of Duty points, it'd make $40 million. But this is where it gets interesting. Black Ops 3 has an offering to sell you 10,000 Call of Duty points for $100. It's pretty easy math at this point. If 20 million people buy $100 worth of Call of Duty points, that means they'll make roughly $2 billion. So Advanced Warfare and Black Ops 3 are pretty much making a very similar amount of money with this supply drop system. But as a whole, I think it's safe to say that Advanced Warfare's advanced supply drops have generated a lot more income than Black Ops 3's Call of Duty point system. In Advanced Warfare, you just straight up buy supply drops and then you open them. And the actual gun variants in Advanced Warfare can give you a distinct advantage over other players who just have the base weapons. As of now, Advanced Warfare is the closest thing that Call of Duty has to a pay-to-win game. Now, while it is the closest thing that Call of Duty has to a pay-to-win game, I don't find it to be actual pay-to-win. It's really just pay for a chance to get a good weapon. You're essentially just gambling your money for a chance to get a good gun. But because these weapon variants do change the game in a significant way, people will pay more money to try to get them. The main difference with Black Ops 3's supply drop system is that at first you could only pay for cosmetic stuff, and then they started adding in melee weapons, which didn't really change the game, and they were just combat knife reskins. But then not too long after that, Activision strong-armed Treyarch into putting supply drop exclusive guns into supply drops. And this is where things got very controversial because now there are certain things you can only get in supply drops that other people just won't be able to experience at all. Now, it's definitely important to keep in mind that in both Advanced Warfare and Black Ops 3, you don't have to pay for either of these things. In Advanced Warfare, you can earn supply drops just by playing the game, and in Black Ops 3, you can earn crypto keys just by playing the game. But it's more important to keep in mind that the most desirable and the rarest gear from both of these games have very small drop rates. In Advanced Warfare, you have roughly a 10% chance of getting an elite weapon variant. And in Black Ops 3, you have less than a 1% chance of getting a weapon. And that less than 1% chance is not just for guns, it's also for the melee weapons too. Another thing that's really important to keep in mind is that both of these games allow you to earn duplicates of these weapons. You have the potential to get duplicate elite variants in Advanced Warfare, and you have that exact same potential to get duplicate melee weapons and duplicate guns in Black Ops 3. And this is where they make the real money. This is what really lowers your odds. If you couldn't get any duplicate items at all in both of these games, your odds would greatly increase every single time that you open up a supply drop. If there were no duplicates in both games, then there would be a finite amount of supply drops you would have to open before you get everything in the game. And this is why they're so business savvy. This is why they're making so much money. They are able to turn a massive profit on this because theoretically you could open up an infinite amount of supply drops and never have everything. So if we do the math on that, one person times infinity equals, that's right, you're gonna be fucking broke. The combination of receiving duplicate items and the abysmal drop rates equals a very bad system. A system where you could theoretically drop millions of dollars and still not have every single thing in the game. It would legitimately be cool if one of those multimillionaires from Dubai could spend a shit ton of money on this system to see if he could get everything. Who fucking knows? Maybe Lil Wayne has everything in the game. He can probably whip a nay-nay and dab with every single character. Another great point I want to bring up is that you can't make any money off of this system. In CSGO and many other games, you can buy certain items, but you can also sell them back on a marketplace. Advanced Warfare and Black Ops 3 have no marketplace, so you can't get any return on your investment. Any and all money that you spend on either of these systems will not make you any money back. Whereas if you spend money on CSGO and similar games, you can actually make some money back. Time to open cases. But there is one more point I want to consider before I finish this video, because so far everything seems very negative about the supply drop system. The last point I want to consider could potentially be positive and could also be very negative too, but that point is, where does all of this money go? What does Activision do with all of this money that they're making off the supply drop system? I'm desperately hoping that the money that they earn from the supply drops really improves the quality of the game. Whether that's dedicated servers, increasing the potential budget for the game so that way the overall quality is better, increasing the developing studio's salaries so that way they're enticed to make better games, putting this money back into marketing and advertising so that way Call of Duty can reach even more people and appeal to more people. These are just some of the things that I hope they're doing with the money. Because if they're just pocketing the profit, that's a real slap in the face. But again, it's their money, they can choose to do whatever they want to with it, and whatever they do with it is private. Making this video was a serious eye-opener, and I hope it was for you guys too. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video on how much money supply drops make. If you guys enjoyed this video, make sure to drop a like, and I'll see you guys later. I forgot to mention that Advanced Warfare had daily supply drop challenges and Black Ops 3 has nothing like that. That kind of really sucks dick.